This is the purpose of workforce management. Workforce is meant to balance customer experience and employee experience. It's a balancing act.
Hey guys, and welcome to another WFM Tipsy Thursdays. I am your host, the Contact Center Whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. And this week we are talking about WFM and its impact on the employee experience. And we have none other than Shawn. Okay, Shawn Ellery. Hey. All right, listen. So I'm super excited. Y'all already know Shawn because I feel like me and Shawn, we talk all the time. Okay. So Shawn, thank you so much for being a guest with us this week on WFM Tipsy Thursdays. We're going to hop right in because I want to be respectful of your time. Tell the people when you first fell in love or found workforce management. What was that journey like?
Oh man. So for me, I actually just got fired as a call center agent. For attendance.
Well, that's a start. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I lost my job, and then I had a family friend who had an opportunity, and he was telling me, "Hey, my company, we're hiring this role. You should come be on my team." But it was an hour and a half from my house. So I was like, I really didn't want the job, but nothing else was falling through. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. And I interviewed, I got the opportunity, and I was excited. My first salary position. I get to sit down and work with numbers versus being on calls all day. And I love that aspect of it, but I had no clue I was in workforce management. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew we were analysts. We were real-time analysts and dialer administrators. And when I really fell in love with it at that company, I went from analyst to senior analyst to supervisor to manager to global manager. And when I really fell in love with it was that pivotal point where I was the supervisor and I started learning the forecasting side of it. Mm-hmm. I started understanding the conversations with finance and how it was impacting our profitability, then also partnering with site directors on how they could do a better job at hitting their goals. So for me, what I fell in love with is that it unlocked business to me. I never understood how the business worked until I was in workforce management.
Listen, now I got to run this back because I'm not going to let you just skate on over this part. You said... Shawn, you say you got fired from a customer service job for attendance, and then you went into. Did I understand that right? Listen, now I've always heard your story, and I've heard all different pieces of it because we're always talking in different contexts, but I never heard that part of it. Now, once you got into workforce management, okay, and you started to understand things a little bit differently. How did you reflect back on the attendance stuff that you were doing when you were calling out or whatever the things may be? How did you reflect? How did that impact like hindsight being 2020?
It was for one, getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me reshape how do I make sure I'm valuable to the business? Yeah. How do I make sure I'm actually someone who they would never want to put in that position again? Because me and my wife, we had a small kid at the time. My mom was living with me, so losing that income, even though it wasn't a lot, was life-changing. And once I got on the workforce side, I realized I wasn't just hurting me, I was hurting my peers.
Come on here.
I mean, they were having to take on extra volume. They were having to deal with unhappy customers. And then also I was hurting the business, whereas we were an outsourcer. So if our clients weren't happy, they weren't happy with the business, which could lead to less revenue, which means some of us have to go. So my actions had a greater impact than I ever thought. So in hindsight, I definitely learned the value of one agent, the power of one missing impacts so many.
Come on. That's a quote from Penny Reynolds. If y'all don't know, y'all got to go. And she has a book called The Power of One. So in your own words, so the topic that we're talking about, so that's the history in case y'all didn't know. Okay. But the topic, and Shawn has such rich and deep history. Okay. So we're going to put a link to Shawn's background, okay? Because I'm telling you, he only telling y'all like this much of it, okay? Hey guys, listen, so y'all know I'm a data nerd, and 88% of you guys that are watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you are finding value in this content, can I ask you to do me a favor? could you subscribe to our channel? What this allows us to do is to continue to keep adding value, bringing insights and the latest in trends around customer experience, employee experience, business profitability, workforce management. Thank you so much for being here. You are truly valued. We appreciate if you would subscribe and follow us for more information. In your own words, tell us, how do you feel workforce management has an impact on employee experience and customer experience?
So the way I've always looked at it, because to your point, I remember I was the director of workforce management at Alorica for DirecTV and AT&T. So we had 3,000 to 6,000 agents across all of our multiple geos, multiple continents. And I got to a place where when I would travel to a site, I would take the time to sit down and educate the operations managers there. Because sometimes you have that East Coast, West Coast rivalry, right? Where it's like workforce ops are working against each other. And I started showing them a scale. And I said, this is the purpose of workforce management. Workforce is meant to balance customer experience and employee experience. It's a balancing act. And the problem is that if you think about the employee experience metrics, it's like, okay, if they have high availability, they're super happy. They don't have to worry about calls coming in. They can sit down, relax, talk. But at the same time, if we have a lot of calls in queue, we have low service levels, the employee experience dips. And now they're frustrated and they're tired and they're burnt out, but also your customers are angry. So you want to find that balance where your agents aren't sitting too available because that's not profitable, but your customers aren't waiting. And once you find that perfect balance, that's when you have synergy. So really, your workforce management team controls that employee morale by a long shot, because it all starts in the planning. If they're not planning properly, your scheduling is going to be difficult. Your real time is going to be even more difficult. So I truly believe that workforce management lifecycle can make or break your employee satisfaction.
Come on here. Listen, I don't even got to do no more talking, okay? Like, Shawn always come through here and be stealing the show, you know? Listen. All right, so my next question being on the heels of that, I love that because I'm always preaching that, which is one of the reasons we created, we have a course, it's our WFM Building Bridges course or workshop, right? It's designed really to bridge the gap between operations and workforce management, like really go in and talk about how do you balance customer experience, employee experience? How do you get great customer experience without sacrificing employee experience? Because without, you already know what I'm about to say. Without EX strategy, your CX strategy is trash. Okay? I say that all the time. So what is one of the myths that you've seen when it comes to EX?
Yeah, when it comes to EX, a lot of leaders, we wrongfully believe that we're responsible for employee happiness. And that's a scam.
Yeah, that's good. See, you always come through here and try and make me cut up. See, and this is why I got the. It's a scam. Just go, bam, it's a scam. No, why is it a scam to believe that I'm responsible as an EX leader or a CX leader for employee experience or not employee experience, but employees' happiness? Tell me, you got to step down on that. You can't just lead the people there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing like raising a child. When you're raising a child, they're going to have days where they don't want to eat their vegetables, but you're like, you need to eat your greens to get big and strong. And they're not happy, but it's the right thing for them. And they can also have days where, as an employee, I could love my job. I could come to work and be like, this is the job I want. But today I'm not happy. I don't want to get out of bed today. So when you're chasing emotion, it's almost like you're the CEO of a company and you're chasing your share price, because your share price is going to dip with market. It's going to go up and down. But the key thing is, are you making sure we're focusing on the inputs that you can control, and then the output will be more positive. So it's not about them being happy all the time. It's about you doing what's right from employee satisfaction standpoint. And then over time, it may dip, but it's going to go up and to the right like a stock. So, I recently wrote a book called You Don't Owe Happiness. And it's
Come
really
on here. You don't owe happiness. I love that.
Yeah. And it ties back to, we don't owe happiness to our employees. We owe for them to feel valued and valuable.
I love that because emotion is fleeting.
Yes.
Right. I talk about this all the time. I love this. So I'm going to link to the book. You don't owe happiness. That's so important because emotions are fleeting. Like you said, if your emotions will betray you.
Yes.
Which is one of the things I'm always talking about, because you got to make yourself do the thing that is the right thing regardless of how you feel about it, because guess what, if I keep doing having the right inputs, then as a natural byproduct the output is going to be, it's going to be what it need to be. And so many
Absolutely.
times we're chasing the output, which is sometimes the wrong output in the first place, that we're not focusing on those inputs. Are we focusing on doing the right thing? So I absolutely love that. Hey, transformative leader, listen, have you grabbed your copy of WFM Go Beyond? Go and grab your copy at WFMGoBeyond.com. WFM Go Beyond is sectioned into 2 sections. Section 1 is the foundation and the fundamentals of workforce management. The core 4, you've heard me talk about this: data gathering, forecasting, scheduling, intraday. But section 2 is the part that I get super excited about, especially for 2025, because we are pushing and encouraging and challenging leaders to go beyond and push into transformative impact. And section 2 is going to do that to help you understand how you tie your WFM strategy into your CX initiatives, your EX initiatives, and business profitability goals. So if you're an operational leader, executive, a WFM leader that has a operations efficiency goal, okay, you want to drive transformative impacts, WFM Go Beyond is your resource. So go to WFMGoBeyond.com and grab your copy today. Bye. Give me a tip, right? If I had to ask you, okay, so if I'm not, as a leader, focusing on my employees' happiness, and I'm trying to focus on making sure that they feel valued and they have the right direction, the right inputs, give me a tip or strategy that I could do that could focus on the right inputs.
Yeah, so we know we have our employee satisfaction surveys. And the good thing about them is that you get them, they're very comprehensive. I like to hone in on 6 key pillars within that, because a lot of times the employee satisfaction surveys can touch on so many things that are company initiatives versus your initiatives. So I say, okay, there's 6 key pillars. I mean, 3 fall under value. If I feel valued, number 1, I'm getting, when I give you employee feedback, you're actually actioning upon it and doing something about it. So I'm hearing you, I'm hearing back from you, I'm seeing my feedback go into this box, you come back and give me a response and you actually put it into action. Number 2, rewards and recognition. Identify in an authentic way, not just saying, hey, these are the KPIs that matter most to us. It's identifying, how can we do more peer-to-peer recognition? How can we do more recognition for the KPIs that we don't really think about that maybe are also important and it will motivate someone to do better? But really recognizing me works. And then number 3, if you're not comping me well and I don't see growth and development, no matter what, I don't really feel valued. So you have to really make sure you're taking care of me. Then on that flip side, valuable. You know, one thing that I've learned about employees, especially frontline employees, is that they don't always get the opportunity to be a part of those company meetings, right? Where they get to see what's going on. The first time when I was growing up in the workforce management ranks, the company that I grew the most in, the first time I was ever in a QBR, I was a manager and about 3 years into the company. And it changed my life. I understood how my work impacted the overall ecosystem. So as leaders, what can you do to bridge that gap? Even if your team can't be there, how can you make bite-sized information and always have it in front of them? Number 2, which we're not very good at, we need to be sponsors to our employees. You know, we talk about mentorship, but there's sponsorship. Sponsorship is when you're talking about them positively in different rooms.
Yes.
Are you tracking how your team is performing and then promoting that across the company? And it's just about making sure that their wins don't go unnoticed, because as a leader, it's your responsibility, not your leader's responsibility, to tell your team's story. And last but not least, and to be honest, it probably trumps everything. As leaders, which is why we need workforce management, you need to be fiscally responsible. If there's no job security because you're not making the right decisions as a leader and you're overspending and over budget, no one wants to be there. I don't care. You can pay me well, you can recognize me, you can give me awards, you can sponsor me. If I feel as if my job is not secure, I will not be satisfied and I will find somewhere else to go.
I what you want me to say, Shawn? Because this your show at this point. Okay. you know, like, this is so good. Listen, I hope y'all are getting these nuggets. I think one of my favorites are, and I'm a WFM girl, so I know you probably expect me to be the like be fiscally responsible, because that's why we need WFM. But my real favorite one probably is that sponsorship.
Yeah.
because Zig Ziglar is probably one of my favorites. And he talks about building people and people will build the business. And
Yeah.
so when you are building people, if you build people, people will build the business. And that
Yeah.
means in their departments, that means, wherever in life. It's not even just about business or career pathing. It's about building people, and those people. I heard Zig Ziglar say this one time. Again, I'm a huge Zig Ziglar fan, and he talked about if you help enough people get what they want, as a byproduct, you'll get what you want.
Mm.
And so, and I'm paraphrasing, so y'all Zig Ziglar lovers out there, don't be like, that's not what he said, but it's pretty much, okay? Y'all get the point, okay? And so I believe in that so deeply that my heart and my posture is always, how can I help you get what you want? And I
Yes.
think as leaders, that's what our job is. How can I help you get where are you trying to go? How can I help develop you? How can I help sponsor you? How can I help mention you in rooms where you don't have access to, I have access to? How can I do that? And I think if we did that more, which is fundamentally why workforce management is something that I love, is because I leverage that vehicle to be able to do that. I think that is amazing when we're talking about you don't owe happiness, because a lot of times my people ain't happy with me
Yes.
about certain things. Like I'm like, listen, we will have excellence. It's like, what's that movie with Denzel in it? He was like,
The Titans.
the Titans, right? We will be excellent in every, whatever you say, right? But because it's for your good, right? Because if
Yes.
you're excellent, then even if you move on from SRC, Solid Rock Consulting, even if you move on from us, guess what? That will be your standard. And so
Yes.
you will stand out, because in a society where mediocrity is the norm, when you are excellent in every aspect of the way,
Mm.
then you stand out as a byproduct. So I absolutely love, like, I can go on, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm not going to do that, because it's supposed to be short, and to the point. The people probably already like, Lord, she done went off on a tangent. Okay. Listen, thank you so, so much for hanging out with us. Where can the people find you if they looking for you?
My website is ShawnEllery.com or Shawn, SEAN, thespeaker.com.
Okay. I love it. Listen, I don't have no words, okay? I already gave y'all the benediction, okay? And so until next time, go be great and make impact. I'll see you back here next Thursday for another WFM Tipsy Thursday. See y'all soon.